Hello and welcome to Euro 2020 Happy Hour Last Orders, and we're live. That never gets old.
It will get old.
Sham. No, I'm
It'll
going to
get
do
old
it for
very
every
quickly.
podcast. With myself, Sham, FPL 2 Guys 1 Cup.
And myself, Rob, otherwise known as FPL Panda.
Nice. Rob, we've got our third live stream, and tonight you're not pretty wankered compared to the other night, so that's good. Right, before I go through the schedule for tonight, let me introduce you to our two guests. We are joined by Billy at FPL Serpent on Twitter and Peter at Fantasy Half, who is 1/3, I believe, of the Half Hour Fantasy Podcast. Good evening, boys.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good. Billy, do you want to introduce yourself first to the YouTube crowd who are watching and to the listeners?
Yeah, hi guys, FPL Serpent here, also known as Billy. Started my Twitter account about a month and a half ago, got it up to 500 followers at the moment, and currently writing for All About FPL.
Nice, cool. Thanks, Billy. Peter?
Yep, I'm Peter, aka Pedro. I am at the Fantasy Half on Twitter. Do a podcast covering the Scottish fantasy game mainly and FPL as well with the two co-hosts, Tom and Gunnar.
Nice.
Cool.
Thank you very much, boys, for joining us. We really appreciate it. So let's get cracking straight away then. To a preview of match day 2 first of all. I'll just go through the agenda of what we're going to do tonight. For those that listened to our first live stream, you'll know it was 2 hours and I believe 48 minutes. We're hoping to wrap this up within an hour or so, so we've got slightly different kind of the way that we're going to run things, so hopefully it's not going to be as long, but we will keep to pretty much the same sort of agenda that we have done. So we'll do a match day 2 review, what we're looking to preview what we're looking to expect from the next 12 games. We'll then look at the limitless chip, because a lot of people are on that at the moment. We'll then do what we're doing next. We'll then look at our teams, how we did for match day 1 and what they're looking like for match day 2, and then we'll do a Q&A at the end. So if you've got any questions, please leave them to the end. Rob, have I forgotten anything?
No, that's about it. And I'm sure at some point we'll throw some memes in, because I know Pedro really wants to see them.
the Marshall memes, yeah. Right, let's start off then with Group A, and the first game we've got is Turkey-Wales. Pedro, Peter, I guess you go by either, so I will call you Peter. What's your thoughts on this game? Should we be looking at anyone, and how do you think it might pan out?
Well, first of all, I'm quite excited for it because I think maybe, I don't know if you guys agree or not, everybody was kind of looking forward to Turkey before the tournament, thinking they were a dark horse, but they were well kind of schooled off Italy, I think 3-0. So I don't know if that is, maybe it was Italy that good that made Turkey look poor, or Turkey just are that poor. Wales, I didn't have much hope for, to be honest, in this group, and they surprised me considering they were on the cosh for most of the game. So I don't know where I'm going to lie. I think if you're pushing me, I would say maybe Turkey, but it's interesting to see how the game works out. And I'm looking at it more. I'm not going to touch any assets in this game, but I'll be looking at it for maybe for game week 3. If we let Turkey come out and show what they really can do, then it will make the assets more viable for game week 3. But that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because a lot of people are on that limitless chip, and there seems to be more options that are available rather than this game. But for those that aren't, Billy, do you think there's anyone from this fixture that might tempt you?
It's a tough one. I think it's almost too close to call to want to go and get a player from there. I think if you were going to go for one from Turkey, I'd maybe edge Çalhanoğlu. On most set pieces, quite a threat from outside the box. And then for Wales, I'd probably edge towards Dan James or Gareth Bale, to be honest.
Okay. Rob, anything from this fixture?
No, at the moment, we'll look at my limited team later. I've got Bale in there, but I don't think he'll be in there by 2 o'clock tomorrow. Like the guys said, it does look like it's going to be a tight fixture. It's probably not, especially when you're using a chip and you really want to attack a fixture, it's probably not one to touch.
Okay. Right, let's move on to the next fixture, and that is Italy and Switzerland. Billy, talk us through this game. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Italy are clearly the strongest team in the group. I think they'll walk this game quite easily. I think Switzerland, they put up a bit of a fight against Wales and they're a better team. But I just think conceding to Wales in general in this tournament just shows how frail they are at the back. I think the main assets in this one, Spinazzola, he looked really good against Turkey, getting forward many touches in the box for a defender as well. I can see him getting scores at both ends of the pitch. And then I think if you're playing your limitless, you have one Italian player or one Italian forward or midfield player. I'd edge towards Insigne just for the extra points for clean sheets and goals, because I think he's got the same threat as Immobile. But if you want to go Immobile, I think it's a valid option as well.
A lot of people are looking at the double up at the back, Donnarumma and Spinazzola. Peter, do you think that's a good option for those on Limitless, or kind of just stick with the two Italians, which is like Spinazzola or a defender and an attacker?
Currently, I've got 3 in my team. I've got Inzaghi, Berardi, and Chiellini, but that's also to be tinkered with. I don't disagree with the Italian players because I think they look solid at the back as well. I think the Italian assets all through the team, if they're nailed, it's well worth it, because I think, like Billy said there, they looked impressive. I think they'll be looking to get through the group in this game. If they win the next game, then they might start rotation for the third game. So if you want to go on Italian assets, this would be the game to do it. And I quite like Spinazzola as well, but I've stuck with the old man at the back, Chiellini, because I thought he looked really dangerous from set pieces in the first game as well. So I don't think you can go wrong with here, and I'm quite confident that he'll keep a clean sheet as well.
Switzerland didn't look shit defensively at the back, Rob. Do you think that it's still worth banking on the attacking assets for Italy here, or would you say it's worth having 3 Italian players, even though we've got some other good fixtures that we could target?
I mean, personally, yeah, I think you could bank on the clean sheet almost. I think Italy, the way that they defended towards the end of that Turkey game, there was one moment when I think it was Yilmaz came through and Chiellini just completely wiped him out. Then it was like fist pumps, and he like celebrated as if he'd scored, because the clean sheet was that important to this Italian side. And I like when they're as pumped up as they were in that game. I can't see like another home game as well in Rome. I just can't see anyone putting a goal past them, especially this Swiss side that they created a couple of chances against Wales, but you don't really know exactly where there's going to be goals coming from them against Italy. So yeah, I'd be banking on. It's the kind of one where you'd want to be able to pick 4 or 5 players, I think, from the Italian side, because Insigne, Immobile, we've seen what they can do. They've both been huge threats. Spinazzola as well was almost playing as a left winger for much of the game. Chiellini was pushing right up there throughout the game as well. And I'm inclined because you've only got 3 forward spaces. So I'm inclined to go with Insigne over Immobile, so that you can use those forward spaces for other players. But yeah, I'm not against going double Italy defence, whether it be just 2 of Chiellini, Spinazzola, and Donnarumma, and I think you'll be fine.
Okay, so let's look at Group B then. And Rob, you're looking at this group, the exciting, really exciting game, Finland and Russia. Let's go through that one first. What's your thoughts on this one?
It's a don't touch. I don't think, like, from a fantasy point of view, Finland could come out and just play out for a point and put themselves into the round of 16 in this game. Russia will obviously want to get some points on the board after the disappointing first game. I think it will be tight. I'd probably go over 1-0 to Russia. But yeah, again, it's not one that I really want to go and throw my hat in and say, yeah, pick this player for either team, because Russia, I mean, Zuba was kept very quiet by the Belgians in the first game, but Finland have shown as well that they're not there to make up the numbers. I mean, yeah, there's lots of other things that happened in the game on Saturday, but they came out and you can only do your job at the end of the day, and they came out and got the result against Denmark. But I think against Russia, it's going to be another completely different game.
Billy, I think you've got slightly different opinion because when I saw your draft that you sent, I believe you had 2 Russian players in there.
Yeah,
is that right? Yeah. What's your thoughts on this?
I still think Finland's are a team that we can get at. I think the obviously unfortunate incident that happened on Saturday clearly affected the Denmark players when they came back on the pitch. So I'm not really reading too much into that game. I think Finland, yes, they played well to get their 1-0 win, but I don't think Denmark were fully switched on to what was going on. I still think that they're quite a poor team, losing to Estonia and Sweden in the friendlies before the tournament started. And I just think I want to go a bit differential for this limitless, not have the same front three with Kane, and then the other 2 forwards, etc. I want to go for a bit of Zuba. I want to try him and see what he's about. I think he can cause problems.
And you've got the Russian defender Fernandez, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think I've still got World Cup fever from 2018. To be honest, speaking of him, but he scored a few goals in there. But I think he can get forward. I think when Russia go forward and press, they'll need to win this game to go through. So I do see them throwing everything at Finland in this game. If Finland are going to settle for a draw, Russia are going to be all over them. And I think Fernandez will be a crucial part to getting in down the flanks. Him and Zuba, possibly a match made in heaven.
Nice. Peter, any other thoughts on this game, or do you agree? Who do you agree with, Rob or Billy?
I agree more with Rob. I can see us finishing 0-0, to be honest. I can see Finland coming out and they've got 3 points in the bag, so a draw gets them through, basically. But then I could easily be the same way as Billy thinks and Russia could run riot, but just off the top of my head, I think it's going to be a low scoring, possibly 0-0.
Okay, Rob, let's look at the Denmark-Belgium game. Is this one to target? Obviously, Denmark, we don't really know where their heads are at with regards to what happened on Saturday. Belgium looked really good. Lukaku looked really good. Do we target that Denmark side or not with Lukaku?
Yes. As you said, we don't know where these Danish players' heads are at. They're obviously going to be a lot more positive than they were on Saturday, but this Belgian team, they looked exceptional at times, and the fact that it's not even their strongest team yet. They'll probably still have the same lineup, as far as we know. KDB might make an appearance, but I still doubt he'd start. And Carrasco will probably still start on the left wing. He looked really dangerous. Again, despite not getting the returns, he was getting himself in those positions, and I think it's just a matter of time really before he returns. And I've just got a feeling this could be another sort of 2 or 3 goals for Belgium. And I'd be without Eriksen there. I don't think Denmark have that threat going forward. They haven't got that, like their talisman in there, their most creative player, and they're like one standout sort of star player. So I think 2 or 3-0 to Belgium. They'll get the job done. So then against Finland they can put out the second string, give Hazard some much needed minutes to try and get his fitness back for the knockout stage, and KDB as well in match day 3. But then players like Lukaku, Carrasco can sort of all just have a seat on the bench for an evening in match day 3.
Yeah, it's difficult to call this one. I mean, I still think Denmark's defense is pretty solid, so that's why I'm edging more towards not taking Lukaku at the moment. He's currently not in my side, but I have got Meunier, just because I think he's nailed there now with Castagna out for the tournament, and I don't see Denmark scoring. So I'm more kind of pushing towards just having one Belgian player. Peter, what are your thoughts? Who do you currently have in your draft? Anyone from this game?
Yep, I've got the triple up on Belgium. I've got Lukaku up front, Carrasco in midfield, and Meunier in defence. I don't see anything other than Belgium. Just again, before what happened with Ericsson, I still had this down as a 3-0 win for Belgium, so I don't see it any different. I think they're going to steamroll it, get themselves through, like Rob said, so they can rest players in the last game, bring in players who are not fully fit in the last game, so they're ready to go for the knockout stage.
Billy, what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I do agree with everyone. I think with the Castagna injury, I think Meunier definitely is now to start, and with his attacking potential we saw against Russia, I think he can definitely return attacking as wise as well. And with a clean sheet, he'll be in double digits again. I think Lukaku will be an interesting one. I don't think even if I didn't have Zuba, he would be one of my three. I think there's better fixtures elsewhere to attack. And I think if you want to gain points, I think you can gain points from other strikers as opposed to going with the 40% owned Lukaku.
Yeah, I agree, actually. Yeah, I agree with that. Right, let's look at Group C then. Peter, you're looking at Ukraine and Macedonia. And anyone, I think a lot of people are targeting Ukrainian players here, 2 or maybe even 3. Who kind of took your eye? Is there anyone that takes your eye from this game?
The obvious one for me is Zinchenko playing at position, playing so far up. I didn't catch a full game. This was the one I actually only watched the highlights of, so I didn't have the full detail of the game. But Ukraine did look good to me against Holland, and Macedonia looked, I don't know, they looked exactly what I thought it would look like. And Ukraine now will have to win this game if they want to advance. And right now I've got Zinchenko on my team. That could change to 2 players as for 2 p.m. tomorrow. But as it stands there, just 1.
Billy, what's your thoughts on this one? Anyone outside of Zinchenko to target, or Zinchenko himself? Is he someone we should have in our side?
Yeah, currently I'm on the triple up. I think North Macedonia are definitely a team to target here. I think they looked really poor against Austria, and that was against an Austrian attack that are struggling at best, and with Arnautovic possibly out of a tournament with his actions that he performed against the Macedonians, we don't know. But I think I've gone for, I'm going to butcher his name, Malinovsky.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Yarmolenko. I know how to do that. He was in the Premier League for a bit. I've got them 3 in my team at the moment. I think North Macedonia will concede goals in this game, and I can only see it coming from them 2. I think Yarmolenko got 2 good goals, to be fair, or was involved in 2 goals anyway. But I just think most of it will come through Yarmolenko, and Malinovsky looked really good in the wing.
I really like Yarmolenko up front there. The problem is obviously he takes one of those forward spots, and that's why I haven't got him. I'm currently on the triple up of Malinovsky, Yarmolenko, and Zinchenko. Although I may not have Zinchenko, although he was out of position, like you say, Peter, he didn't really seem attacking. So it was almost like, because he plays just, I believe, and Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, he plays just in front of the defense, right? I don't think he plays very attacking. It didn't seem that way anyway, so that's kind of why I haven't got him at the moment. Rob, any thoughts on Zinchenko in terms of what I said? Is he more attacking or not?
He does. Because he is one of the because he is a very creative player. He does like to get forward. I obviously was not in a fit state to watch this match the other evening. And so, like Peter, I've only watched highlights, but I think you're almost nailed for 6 points with Zinchenko. You know that you've got some set pieces as well, and he does seem to have almost a free roll license where he can get forward. So yeah, I think if you're trying to squeeze in 3 Ukraine players, then 2 or 3 Ukraine players, then yeah, he's one of them, along with Malinovsky and Yarmolenko. I think Yaremchuk, as you said, he takes one of those attacking spots, and there's other players that you might want to target. But if you want to go against Lukaku, he could be someone to go against with.
Jerome's made an interesting point in the chat. So he said some fullbacks are more attacking than mids, as fullbacks attack like wingers, i.e. Zinchenko. So maybe he's more attacking than I kind of thought. So I'll revisit that tonight. Right, let's look at the next game in this group then, and that is Austria and Netherlands. Billy, you're looking at this one. What's your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I only see it going one way. I think the Netherlands are way too strong for Austria, despite both having 3 points on the board. I think looking at the fantasy assets on display, I still back to Depay to get a return here. But I just think, like I said before, only 3 forward spots. I don't think he takes one of those in this matchday 2 team. I think someone I really like the look of is Dumfries. 5.5 mil in a limitless team, 100% worth it. He was so attacking against Ukraine. He was always in the box. I think most touches in the box out of anyone, or most chances created out of anyone in the whole game. And then I also quite like Wijnaldum as well, playing a much more attacking position for Holland than he does for Liverpool. So at the moment I've got Wijnaldum and Dumfries in there. I don't think I will be making a triple up, but that's my 2 at the moment.
Peter, anyone that you were kind of agreeing when Billy talked about Dumfries? Are you kind of on the same thoughts there?
That's the 2 I was thinking. It would have been, Wijnaldum and Dumfries, because Depay, like you said, he's taking up that attacking position. Now, maybe you just fancy Holland to do it, and that's fair enough, go for that. But if you're asking me, I've not got any in my team yet, but obviously I'm still thinking about it tomorrow, and I think Wijnaldum and Dumfries, the 2 obviously stands out to get at your limitless team.
Rob, in your side, have you got any Netherlands players at the moment?
I think at the moment I've just got Wijnaldum. Dumfries is one that I have looked at. I'm also tempted to still stick with Depay. He did look very dangerous again. Despite not picking any returns, I'd still back him at some point to go crazy in this tournament. And if it's going to be any time, it's going to be in these next 2 fixtures against Austria or Macedonia. So yeah, I think if I was on a wild card, I'd probably be going with Depay because I'd be needing to sort of not go with the higher end of the not feeling like I'm being forced to go with the higher end of the forwards, likes of Griezmann, Mbappe, Kane. But yeah, because I'm on a limitless, I think that I go with those. Well, the more premium of the forwards, and then look for someone elsewhere for my coverage for Netherlands.
Okay, let's move on to Group D. And Rob, you're looking at this one again. First game is Croatia and the Czech. Anyone to look at from this game?
Oh, is that me? Yeah, it is me.
That is you. Yeah.
Obviously, Croatia, they disappointed me against England. Like, they didn't look like they had much going forward. I know pre-tournament there was lots of talk about the midfield three of Modric, Brozovic, and Kovacic, but they didn't look like. Maybe it was because England did play so well in the middle of the park and kind of nullified that threat. So it's actually made me look more the other way. And the hero from yesterday that Peter knows all about, Patrick Schick. I had to get the picture out for him. And yeah, if I wanted to have a little gamble somewhere, I'd probably gamble on him causing that Croatian defence some trouble, because they did look a bit ropey at times. England could and should have probably got more than just the 1 goal. And I think he looks like he's anyone that's going to shoot from 50 yards out, they're obviously full of confidence. So I'd probably back him to go and get another goal. When is it, on Friday?
Peter, what's your thoughts on the Czech Republic? Obviously, Scotland were involved against them yesterday. Do you think there's anyone worth backing? From their side?
Yep, the striker Schick, I think he looked pretty good. He was constantly flown after that game. Croatia didn't really impress me. I think they'll cover that as well. But then I don't know if that's because England, as you said, kept them quiet in midfield. But I didn't think I was going for Czech Republic assets before this tournament started, but that's changed my mind. And I think if Croatia is a Canadian kind of team, I think you can get to them. I can see this one being quite a lot of goals in it as well. So I would avoid the defence, and if you're going to go for the attacking assets. But Schick's the one that stands out for me.
Yeah, my only concern with him is obviously, as we've spoken about lots of times, it takes up one of the forward options, but also with a limitless chip. I mean, I don't know what his price is. Is it kind of like what, 8 million? I'm guessing, Rob.
8 million.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so 8 million. Do you maybe in a wild card you want to have a look at him? I don't know, but then you've got England the next game. Then England, if they win, then
well,
against Scotland,
if
there
you're
might
wild
be a risk.
carding if you're wild carding in match day 2, you're limitless in match day 3
Yeah,
because it's
well, there you
you
go.
either use the limitless in match day 3 or the final because
Yeah, yeah,
otherwise
yeah,
it
yeah.
screws your team in the knockouts.
So that's the
So
thing. I don't know whether or not, therefore, is worth
mate,
getting.
yeah, if a wild card again, it's like Depay maybe because you're trying to cut the funds a little, like cut your costs somewhere. So it could be good pickers, your third striker on your wild card, but.
Billy, any additional thoughts on this game?
I think an option's Kufal from Czech Republic. I think he looked very good against Scotland. Obviously, got an assist and a clean sheet. I think against Croatia, despite we could have goals, I think he could be involved in a few as well. Obviously, if he scores, gets the extra points for scoring a goal. But I also think Czech Republic could hold strong here. If they even get a point from this game, they're basically guaranteed to qualify. No one called this at the start of the tournament, so I think if they go for a point, they could go and get one.
Right, let's look at the next game. And I said this on the podcast with Mark, our Scottish rep, and he didn't leave the chat. So I'm going to say this again and hope, Peter, you don't leave the chat. England are playing that small nation up north against Scotland. I'm glad you didn't leave the chat there. Right, Rob, what's your thoughts of this game? How's it going to pan out?
I think that there will be some rotation from England. There'll be some changes. I think the fact that, and we've spoken so many times pre-tournament of how strong the squad is for England. Like we can have players like Foden, Sterling that started the first game that we can give them a rest and bring in some like Sancho or Rashford or I know Grealish didn't train today, so I doubt that he'll be starting on Friday. But yeah, I can only see one of Rice or Phillips starting. I think that Bellingham might get a start to give him a bit more experience. So I'm very wary. I'd love to be able to back England with 3 players. I'm sorry, but I think the way the Scots defended yesterday, at times, I'd be backing England to put some goals past them tomorrow. Friday. Um, but it's who are you going to back? And so my standout option is obviously Harry Kane. I think that he'll start no matter what, because he's yet to get off the mark in the tournament. So yeah, he's like the main standout. But I'm actually thinking of going with a double England defence and just going Pickford and Stones because they're 2 other players that I think are nailed. I don't think that they'll Walker or Trippier. I don't think either of them um, absolutely nailed for Friday either. There's talk. Well, Harry Maguire was in training. There's been some whispers that he might be in the running to start on Friday, although I doubt it. So yeah, I've got a funny feeling he'll start one of Shaw or Chilwell on the left, and he might play Trippier out on the right because Walker, I think, out of the 11 that started on Sunday, was probably the least impressive out of everyone. So he might reward Trippier for his performance on the left by playing him in his actual position.
Do you think going with Sterling then is a risk?
I think it could be. Like I think that Southgate has shown with the lineup he put out against Scotland, he is not afraid to make big calls and big judgments. And because we got that win in the first game, which arguably the toughest of the 3 games in the group, I think it gives that comfort that he can rest players, and he's got 5 subs. So if for some ungodly reason the Scottish Iniesta goes and bangs one in from 30 yards and puts England 1-0 down. Yeah, we've got subs and we've got players on the bench that can come on and swing the game the other way. So yeah, I just don't like. I wouldn't want to risk it on anyone personally, but that's mainly because have had a good start, and I kind of wouldn't want to risk that good start by gambling on a player that I'm not too sure about.
Billy, are you of the same opinion on Rob about rotation here?
I agree there'll be rotation. I just think there's some players that are more now than others. I think, for example, I've got two England assets at the moment, one being Pickford. I think that's almost a certainty that he'll play. And I think the other one I've gone for is Sterling. I just think after scoring a goal, his confidence is going to be high. Not many people rated him to start in the first place. And now that he's got a goal, Southgate's going to find it quite hard to drop him. I think he played really well with Kane as well, because Kane, like he did for Spurs, dropping him behind, trying to help the midfield create, left Sterling the space to run him behind. I just think that works too well for him to change it again. And against Scotland, if Southgate rests players against Scotland, he'll be crucified by England fans. It's the big game. Everyone wants to win this one.
Yeah.
I mean, but he was crucified by England fans at 1:00 on Sunday afternoon. But
I crucified him for starting Sterling as well. But he scored. Maybe he knows more than me.
I think if you were going to say who's more likely, Sterling or Foden to start, I'd say Sterling. I'd say Foden maybe slightly less likely. Yeah, I think Sterling's his value has gone up in the team. I think like you said, if he didn't produce a performance with a return, especially in the first half, I was really disappointed with him because there was a couple of opportunities he had where I was like screaming, just toe poke it with your left foot, just get the shot in, and he was trying to cut inside like we've seen so many times from him. And if he had those like half chances at the start and then didn't go and produce in the second half like he did, then I think you would have argued that he should be straight back out of the team.
Peter, as a Scotsman, how do you see this game going?
How do I see it going? I think England will win. I don't think it will depend on how Scotland line up, because basically Clark gets his team wrong against Czech Republic. He was too defensive. He always is. Just they're playing that donkey at right back. I got my Twitter on that one. O'Donnell. I mean, he shouldn't be anywhere near the team. He's playing for a team that finished bottom 6 in the Scottish Premiership as your right back. That's the biggest change. You've got Roberts on the left hand side and him on the right hand side is just the total black and white water dry. He stands out so poorly. He's got the young lad at Rangers coming through, Patterson, who's going to be the next right back for Scotland. Booster through him in. Or he could have, if we're playing the 3-5-2, it should have been Fraser or Forrest as a wing back. But what I've done as well is McTominay normally plays in the back three on the right hand side, because then he offers cover for O'Donnell, but he put him in midfield. So then you've got the three centre backs at the back, not one of them got a bit of pace amongst them, so it just left us wide open. Now, part of me thinks he might learn his lesson and revert back to that, especially if Tierney's fit. Tierney on the left hand side, McTominay on the right, and then he can play a right back then with Tommy covers him, but I still think England have too much of him. My concern, fantasy wise, is what Rob says is a rotation. I've got Sterling and Pickford now, and I hope Sterling's nailed after that goal, because I think he's going to. If Clark stays stubborn and plays O'Donnell, I think Sterling will have a field day with him.
Okay, let's look at Group E then. Peter, you're going to look at Sweden, Slovakia. Two teams that pulled off some shock performances. So first, Slovakia beat Poland, and then Sweden got a draw at Spain. How do you see this one going?
Hard one to call. I think Sweden surprised me last night. They've been so defensively resolute. I suppose they shouldn't have surprised me. They do play a deep back four. I've got a player there that used to play for Celtic for numerous years, Michael Lustig, and he was shot at Celtic for years before we finally punted him, because we play such a attacking high line. But with Sweden, he's like a plug and play defender, because he doesn't venture further forward. So I don't see much from attacking. I don't have a low scoring game. Me, I would be, if I'm not going to touch a game, mind you, if I was touching him, I would be going for defenders. probably more Sweden side than from Slovakia.
Okay. Billy, any thoughts? Anyone to look at from this game? Anyone that caught your eye from the Spain and Sweden game, or Poland and Slovakia one the other night?
I think Alexander Isak, he looked quite good against Spain.
Yeah.
I think in the small amount of chances he had, he looked very threatening. I think against quite a poor Slovakia defence, he could easily score a couple of goals here. I wouldn't be putting him in my team, just because, as we've said many times, we've only got 3 striker slots. But I think if you're looking for a big differential, this might be the week to do it.
Okay, Rob, anyone from this game that takes your eye? What's your thoughts on the Sweden draw and Slovakia win the other night?
Yeah, I think you wouldn't be backing Slovakia to score with how impressive that Swedish defence was. I think Spain really only had, they limited it to one clear-cut chance, I think. Just the Morata one. I think Sweden had more better chances. I think they had 2 or 3 better chances than Spain did. Alexander Isak, the standout. But we also know that if you wanted to go with midfielder, it's Eric Forsberg, who just wasn't allowed to get into the game yesterday. But against Slovakia, he might be able to sort of have a bit more space to produce some of his best.
Okay, let's look at the next game, and that was Spain and Poland that was coming. Can we back any Polish players or indeed Spanish players after their games yesterday, Billy? What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think it'll be a close game again, but I think Spain will eventually be able to break them down. I don't think Poland will go into it as defensively as Sweden did. I think Sweden's attitude was, if we get a point here, we will eventually qualify. But I think Spain will want to put things right and get a win here. I think, despite Ferran Torres blanking, I still think he's a really good option. I think he looked like the creative spark in that Spanish team. But I think other than that, there's not a lot I can see, because I do see possibly Lewandowski getting a goal. I think don't even touch Morata. Don't even be tempted. He had one.
I really like Danny Olmo. I thought he played quite well as well.
Yeah, he was a good option. If you're not playing your limitless and you're wanting a cheaper option, he's a cheaper way into the Spanish midfield, to be fair. So,
Peter, any other additional comments from this game? Is it can we back that Spanish defence? Is Alaba worth a shout here?
Well, I've took my Spanish defender out in this game. The only one I kept from my limited is Olmo. I like to look at him as well. Cheap midfield, 5th option on the bench. I think the way it works out, I'll check later. Spain play before. No, they don't. Last game, so I may have to rethink that. It was going to maybe play him and then sub him out if he didn't perform, but they're last on, so I may have to rethink that. But I like to look at Danny Olmo. He's one player I've kept in my team from the first round.
Rob, have you got anyone from Spain or Poland in your squad at the moment?
I'm not really looking at either of them. I think even though Poland do have arguably the best striker in the world, it kind of showed that one man does not make a team in the game yesterday. There's 10 men as well in that team that have got to try and feed the best striker in the world, and he's not getting the sort of supply that he is in riches of at Bayern Munich. Spain, it's interesting. I briefly chatted earlier today with Raul, the Spanish rep, because we had someone ask about whether Morata would still start. And he said that 99% of the 45 million Spaniards would start Gerard Moreno, and 0.5% of them would actually start both of them, Morata and Moreno, and then 0.5 would start Morata. But Luis Enrique is very particular and very stubborn, so you can't give an answer. But with, I think Morata and Cesc Fabregas was quite vocal about it at half time. He's very much a confidence player. He cannot be very confident after yesterday, and it's just going to get worse for him playing in Seville. like we know the Spanish fans are very hostile at the best of times to their own players, and if he misses another big chance, that could be pretty much his tournament over. I wouldn't be surprised if they go Moreno over Morata. At the end of the day, Moreno was the second top scorer in La Liga. I don't know why it took till. I think he didn't come on till about 15 minutes ago. I don't know why it took that long.
Okay, let's look at the last couple of games, and this is from Group F. Hungary take on an impressive France, who beat Germany tonight 1-0. Hungary looked fairly okay for most of that game until the last 10 minutes. Billy, what's your thoughts on how this game is going to go? Is it going to go like massively like 3-4-0, or do you think France are kind of just going to grind it out with a 1 or 2-0 victory? Because a lot of people are targeting the double attack with Griezmann and Mbappe, but is it worth maybe just going double defence instead?
I think whatever combination you go for France, you'll be guaranteed points. I think Hungary, yes, they only conceded late on, but I think when I watched the game, a better team would have put them away. I think France will have a field day when they play them. I think the options are interesting because if Benzema's goal counts tonight, we suddenly all start talking about him being the better striker as opposed to Griezmann. But I still like, as you see Mbappe, he runs until the 90th minute and he gets in behind every time. I think Griezmann is the one that is always behind him and assists him as well. So I would have them two as the double attack. I think Benzema probably will play as well, but I just think I prefer them two. Then the defensive option I think is between Hernandez and Pavard. I originally preferred Pavard, but after the assist tonight for Hernandez, maybe he's changed my mind. I'm not really sure yet. I think definitely I'll be on the triple up with a defender and two attackers. That's for sure, though.
Yeah, because I initially was always on Griezmann and Mbappe and Hernandez, but now I'm edging more towards double defense, just because I don't know whether or not they will score 3 or 4, and if they're only scoring 1 or 2, then how much is Griezmann going to get? Whereas I can, almost not guarantee, but it's a very likelihood that they're going to kind of keep, a clean sheet. Peter, what's your thoughts on this one? Do you prefer the double attack on France or the double defense for the Hungary game?
I agree with Billy. A double attack for me. I went for Mbappe and Griezmann, but that could change to Benzema. It doesn't really matter. I think 2 or 3 depends what your preference is, and it's Hernandez at the back, who had him in my team before the game tonight, and I think he's just an attacking fullback. You'd like to think the clean sheet's pretty much nailed, and I do think France are a much better team than Portugal, and I think they could take Hungary apart.
Rob, echo the thoughts, or are you on the double attack?
Yes, I'll be on the double attack. The Hungarians, they did perform well. The crowd were up for it. They're going to be up for it again against France. But I think earlier today, if Portugal took one of the chances they had in the first half, they had 3 or 4 good chances. Take one of those, and I think we're looking at a completely different game that finishes like 4-5 or more to Portugal. They definitely tired towards the end as well. Hungary did. France will make Hungary work a lot more. We saw that when Portugal brought on Rafa Silva and Renato Sanchez, just that extra bit of energy and pace in the midfield. That was like what tipped them over the edge and got them those chances. Rafa Silva came on 15 minutes ago and got himself 2 assists. I'd back France all the way. I'm just not sure which 2 I want. I like Griezmann still. Plus he's got the set pieces, but Benzema gave me some food for thought. Especially, there was the late disallowed goal, and he got himself involved in some other moves. So I think I want Mbappe, and it's just which one of the other 2 do I want? I wouldn't even shy away from a trip that, like, just going thinking fuck it and going all three. To be fair, because the points could come
That's
from
true.
any of them.
Yeah. Right, let's look at the final game, and that is Portugal and Germany. This one is kind of tough to call. Is it a case of don't choose anyone from here because we don't really know, or after Ronaldo's brace, do we look at Ronaldo as an option? What's your thoughts, Peter?
This might be the only week in the fantasy game that you get to pick Ronaldo would be a differential, because not that many people will be on him, because they're going to be doing limited chip and avoiding this fixture. So if you want to be different, that's the way to go. Personally, I'm not touching any of the teams because it could go anyway, so I'll be avoiding.
Billy, avoid from
Yeah.
this game?
Yeah, I'm probably going to echo what Peter's saying, to be fair. I think it could easily go one way or the other. I think that Germany might nick it here, to be honest. I think they might open up the group a little bit. But as I say, there's no certainty in this game, is there? So I'd just stick to the known quantities that we've already spoken about.
Rob, same thoughts?
Yeah.
I don't think you had anyone from this game.
I think Germany have got the home advantage. I mean, tonight they deserve something out of the game tonight. To be fair to them, I think for a lot of the second half, there was a good 25-minute spell of the second half where they had lots of chances. They were putting the French under pressure, and they're not as bad. Like, people pre-tournament were writing off this German side, and we sat here and went, no, German sides, they might not do well, but they get to a major tournament and they turn up and they perform. And they would have taken a lot away from tonight. I think they could. They'll still be confident that they can have Portugal visit and they get a result. But I think, the Ronaldo factor, he just looks pumped at the moment, and that second goal, his second goal, it was just beautifully worked team goal, and that's the coolness that he had in that situation. But that's what makes him the GOAT, whether you like it or not.
Just going back slightly to the French game, we've got a couple of people in the chat asking about Pogba as an option. Billy, what's your thoughts on Pogba? Do you think he's an option here, or is he playing too deep?
Yeah, I previously spoke about it on my Twitter. Feel free to check it out. Just a little plug there. But I think if I was going to go for a midfielder for France, I'd probably edge towards Coman. I think he's a much better attacking winger. I think Pogba plays well for France, but I just think there can be a tendency to drop back to support Kante.
Did he play today, Coman?
Did he come on?
I don't know. I didn't see the.
He didn't start. He definitely didn't start.
It's just whether or not he comes on, right?
Yeah.
Or starts that game.
I think Pogba is a good option, though. But I just think there are better midfielders for this match day. But if you want to go for that, feel free.
He didn't come on.
Okay, right. So that's all the games wrapped up then. Do you boys want to add anything else that we haven't already discussed that you just remembered? No?
Fine with me.
Cool. Okay, so I think we were going to talk about the limitless chip, but I think we've discussed it quite a lot throughout the preview of the last 12 games. So there's probably no point kind of going into detail, but for those that don't know what the limitless chip is, for whatever reason, most people are going to be using it for match day 2. It gives you essentially it's a free hit, but with no transfer budget. So that's why kind of we've been discussing that throughout the previews tonight. I guess, Rob, let's just go into our teams for match day 2, and then we can discuss discuss the limitless chip then. Do you think that's probably best?
Yep. Because all four of us are on limitless, so we've got Peters up first. Just if you want to run through the team and is there any differential? I mean, we've spoken about a lot of these players. Is there anyone that you're unsure of still in your team?
Yep, Zinchenko, after you kind of talked him out a wee bit. I've had to change one since then, actually, during this pod. Let me see what it'll look. I have took out Alba from Spain and brought in Dumfries from Holland, so that's my change now. I've just attacked the fixture. I looked at the fixtures. I mean, I've got what, three triple ups. I'm really confident in Belgium, France, and Italy, and I'm hoping the fixtures go my way, and I'll be doing the 3-hit the next week as well. So I'm not going to try to be too smart with differentials. I'm just attacking things. I think it's going to go a certain way. Now I might change player within that, like the Italian burrata there, but as it stands, I'm quite happy with that. I think of it tomorrow, but I'm quite happy. If I miss my deadline, I'll be quite happy with the team I've got there.
I think it's a good thing to note as well that a lot of all four of us, the guys that are watching, the people that are listening, a lot of us are in this Twitter bubble, and even though it might look like there's a lot of people on Twitter using chips in match day 2 and match day 3, out of the 3.5 million odd players that are playing the game, there's probably not going to be that many because people don't think, oh, I need to use my chip straight away. And they don't think of the consequences of using the limitless in the knockouts. They think, oh, yeah, I can use the wild card in a knockout and the limitless in the knockout because I'd have lost loads of players from my team. So the fact that, yeah, we're getting these chips out of the way, I think it attacks. Come on. There we go. We're back on.
Can you guys see us?
We're back on. Yes, they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can. Okay.
Well,
Rob,
it won't be. It won't be. When you write to them, it should be live now. It'll be live in 20 seconds.
All right. Okay. Rob, do you want to talk through your in terms of any additional, I guess, differentials in your side compared to what we've spoken about tonight?
Not really. I mean, that's before I was rudely cut off by the internet.
YouTube.
Yeah. I'd like to try and pick out one or two players that might be slightly less owned by people for match day 2. So I'm probably going to have a bit more of a think, and maybe take one or two more gambles because it's kind of very safe. I mean that's why I had Bale in there at first. It was like a more of a gamble, as I was just like quickly putting something together. So yeah, I might try and find a couple of players that maybe performed well during match day 1, but didn't have the returns to back it up to try and just go against those that might purely just look at who's returned.
Okay, let's look at mine then. So similar team to yours. The only main differences I've got is Alba and I've got Sterling in there, which you said you might have. But you're after tonight. I don't know how many points ahead of me, 12 or 13 or something like that. I need to catch up with you. So whatever you're doing, I need to do slightly differently. You don't have Munier in there, and you don't have Alba. So that's someone that I'm looking at. I've got those two in there. But yeah, I think I'm going to relook at it tonight. I like Dumfries as an option, so I want to try and squeeze him in. I might end up going triple ups and double ups the whole way through because I'm a maverick. So yeah, I'm not. This is where it's at the moment. There's probably about 3 changes I might make, but the core is Insigne and the double French attack probably, and Kane, etc. Right. So I guess there's probably. Do we want to show our teams for match day 1, or just tell the viewers how we did?
Yeah, because they weren't really up to date, were they? Because we
No,
wouldn't have had the last game in.
I guess let's just go through how we did in terms of points. Peter, how many points did you end up on?
59 points.
Okay, Billy?
66 points.
Okay, I finished on 70, and Rob, I think you top of the bunch, didn't you?
Yes, 82 points for me.
Nice.
Yeah. Ronaldo in that last 5 minutes, taking me with his haul. Yeah, it was really pleasing week. I think returns from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 11, which is good.
A couple of people have commented in chat. Paolo says, "Go Ronaldo, he will be a differential." Good point. And David said, "All of you having both Griezmann and Mbappe gives me serious FOMO."
Yeah, I think those two, like, I wouldn't be surprised if, yeah, they're well over 50% owned come 2 o'clock tomorrow. Yeah, it's just the two standouts for France that I think everyone will all, like, pre-tournament, we were talking about those two. A lot of people would have been thinking about having those two in their teams for match day 2 anyway. Yeah, I think it'll be more differential to go with like 1 or 2 French players rather than 3. But yeah, I think you have to, because the returns could come from anywhere. You kind of have to go with the 2 main ones.
Right, I think that's the bulk of the pod done. Rob, I know you wanted to give a couple of updates and maybe show some memes. So I'll let you do that. I've asked for some questions in the chat. Peter's going. I've asked for some questions in the chat. So if you guys want to ask some questions, and we'll get a few of them answered. So Rob, take us away.
Yeah, so the graphics that you can see at the moment is the reps comp that we've got going, where each representative is using their fantasy side to represent them in the tournament. So it's just from as of last night, because obviously points haven't updated yet. So yeah, it's just how they're all getting on, and then just quickly have a look at the mini league where Mavericks 11 with manager Dan and Jay was, as of last night, sitting with 81 points. So at the moment, I should be top of our mini league. I very much doubt it. I think there's probably someone out there with 90 points in the mini league. But yeah, I think we've got like 220 odd managers in the mini league, which is good. And yeah, the winner of the mini league will be joining us on a FPL preview at some point in the next few weeks, with the fixtures coming in
Tomorrow.
10 hours time, which is exciting. So yeah, on to some quick memes. The meme that I was too drunk to remember to put on the pod the other night. So this, for those that don't know, this is Sham's house at the top, which at D Strom, David, who's in the chat at the moment, decided to meme up, because that does look horrific, mate. Come on.
Come on, I've got to represent England. What you don't know now is,
Has the neighbour
and I'll
put his
probably-
flags up yet?
but my neighbour has put his one French flag up. So by the door on the left-hand side, he's got his French flag. What was quite funny earlier, so we've got like a like beavers, like Cub Scout kind of unit place around the corner, and all the kids were walking down, and one kid shouted out, "Boo, France!" with all the England flags there. Yeah,
and then so we've just got a few other memes. That's the only. Sorry, Peter, but yeah, this is the only non-Scotland meme that we've got. So yeah, we've got Craig Marshall does Spider-Man.
That's my favourite one. That's my favourite one.
I think that was probably the first one that appeared
Okay.
on Twitter. I think that's gone viral. We don't know who that actually was that created that. This one is by David, with Craig Marshall joining the cast of High School Musical, dancing on the end there.
That's quite funny.
And then we've got Craig Marshall with the Australian cricket team
on the left.
I couldn't even see him there.
He's hard to spot, and then you notice there's someone with shorts on. And then we've got Craig Marshall does ET.
Isn't it David Marshall?
Yes, and
Oh, that's it. No, it's not
David.
Craig. Who's Craig Marshall?
You think
No,
of Craig
David
Gordon?
Marshall.
Craig Gordon. will he be the victim of memes before the end of the tournament? We don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, Patrick Schick film, David Marshall in his adventure in the Scotland goal. There we go. And then from earlier tonight, David Marshall being rounded by Ronaldo before he finished in that Hungary game, that excellent goal at the end of that game. So yeah, he's the poor bloke. He's just been absolutely ruined by memes. There's a lot more as well. This is like just the pick of the bunch. But yeah, keep those memes coming in. I'm sure there'll be some England-based memes at some point in the next few weeks. Yeah.
Nice. Any other updates? We've got a couple of questions in the chat. So do you want me to cover those questions, Rob?
Yeah, it's quickly. Yeah, we'll quickly because there's only a couple. Let's get them done, and
Yeah.
then we can
Okay,
go
cool.
and
So we've
tinker.
got one from Shakalaka. CR7 or Lukaku, who will likely cause less bleeding in your rank if looking to add France? Billy, I'll come to you.
I'd edge towards Lukaku there. I think he's got a better fixture, and I just think he's in great form. We want to get the golden boot and want to kick on.
Peter?
Agreed.
Disagree?
Yeah,
Agreed.
Lukaku, and I think anybody who's playing it casually just make clock the fixtures well and go, right, Lukaku's playing Hungary and bring him in.
Rob?
Yeah, I love Ronaldo to bits, but yeah, you've got to go with Lukaku. Although, yeah, like I said, I wouldn't put it past Ronaldo to provide a return or two.
Okay, David asks, have any of you who were going wildcard on match day 3 changed your mind about it? Anyone was planning for that? Yeah, so I was thinking about wildcard match day. No, hang on. So have any of you who were going wildcard on match day 3 changed? Okay, right. So Rob, I know you were going. That was a different question to what I thought. So are you sticking with wildcard match day 3 or not?
Ask me on Sunday. Yeah,
Okay.
ask me on Saturday night.
Peter, are you going wildcard match day 3 or sticking with your week 1 team?
Wildcard match day 3, and then hoping to use my knowledge to negotiate the last 16.
And Billy?
I think I'm going to trying to use wildcard in the quarterfinals. I think for the third match day, I just think there'll be too much rotation to sort of wildcard with the big players in. So then last 16, I can sort of attack the games where there are poor teams playing big teams. Then see where we can go from there.
Yeah, my only concern with it is with the rotation. Are you going to be in a position where a lot of your players from match day 1 are not going to be playing in match day 3? That's kind of why I was thinking. Actually, it might be worthwhile wildcarding. That's my only concern.
Yeah, I do sort of feel like match day 3 might be a bit of a trap, and not many points will be from there anyway. I think most of the big teams are trying to rest players, so I'm not too worried.
I think until like once sort of the groups have really taken shape over the next few days. So by Friday, Saturday. So obviously, I think match day 2 finishes on Saturday night. So yeah, by Friday, Saturday, we'll kind of have an idea of who's through, who's guaranteed top spots, who's guaranteed at least second spot, and who's fighting. And yeah, maybe. I mean, personally, I'll be kind of weighing it up. Can I use those 2 free transfers to still manage to attack match day 3, or is it best just to go with the wild card to attack it?
Okay, right. So that's a wrap. Rob, is there anything else that we need to talk about other than telling people when our next pod is?
No. So I mean, keep an eye out. Oh, can I do it?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, I can talk. I get to talk near the end more. So yeah, keep an eye out. Tomorrow we're gonna have the updates of mini league updates, the reps comp. We have some updates with the final scores from that. Then on Thursday evening, we have got Jamie and Angus from the Fantasy Championship podcast who are going to be joining us to review the first 6 games of match day 2. Plus, we're probably going to end up spending some time talking about that small matter of 8 o'clock on Friday with the oldest rivalry in football going head to head once again at a major tournament, which I can't wait for it.
Nice. Okay, that is it. Billy and Peter, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah,
we really
thanks for joining us,
appreciate it. Before we go, do you want to just tell everyone where they can find you? Peter, do you want to go first?
Yep, on Twitter at Fantasy Half, and if you go there, you'll get a link to our podcast, Half Hours Fantasy Podcast. If you like the Scottish and English FPL chat, give us a follow.
Cool. Billy?
Yeah, just check me out on Twitter at FPL Serpent. Post most of my articles and threads on there with you coming in the coming days as well. So yeah, check that out.
Awesome. Thank you very much, boys. For the viewers until Thursday, like, subscribe, share, retweet, do all that jazz for us, please. And we'll catch you on Thursday. Take care. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.